The Total War franchise needs the Avatar mode back, and here I will explain why I think so and how it could be done and improved upon. The feeling of companionship with my fellow clanmates, the tug and pull of clan conquest, the pure adrenaline rush of meeting an equally experienced and equipped opponent in a head-on collision of two big armies filled with skilled veteran units. It gives me goosebumps even today. For those who do not know or remember, Avatar Conquest was part of Shogun 2 as a separate multiplayer mode which combined persistent armies and deep customization, player clan structure, conquest of provinces, naval battles, and leaderboards for up to 4 vs 4 battles. I personally think it was one of the most complex and substantial additions to the franchise, along with free movement campaign maps, naval battles, cooperative and head-to-head multiplayer campaigns, RPG skill elements, separate province settlements, and yearly seasons. If you agree or disagree with this, do let me know in the comments, while I will explain Shogun 2's Avatar Conquest system in much more detail later in this video. The reason why I think future Total War games need this Avatar Conquest multiplayer mode isn't something that I can fit into a single sentence, but I will start with two main points. First, I think it will help with player immersion into each new setting, be it historical or fantasy, due to personalization of their experience through visual customization of armies, generals and units, as well as developing their unique playstyle through growing the skill trees of these generals and units. The other main reason why I think Avatar needs to come back is improving future games' longevity by adding vast replayability and value to the multiplayer. This would be the same multiplayer that, despite a highly dedicated and enduring player base, has been sidelined due to the same player base being vastly disproportionate in size compared to the one that exclusively enjoys the single player part of Total War games. The Avatar Conquest mode can therefore become a bridge to gap the divide between the two player communities, which of course already have some overlap, and allow the multiplayer to become more hospitable to players who have up to now mostly shied away from it. And this was already proven to work due to the fact that when Shogun 2 launched in 2011, I saw a huge increase in the number of players who were joining clans and fighting in the then new and exciting Avatar Conquest multiplayer mode. The leaderboards grew day by day, reaching over 600,000 recorded players in only a few weeks, meaning that a huge portion of the player base had indeed tried out this new way of playing a Total War game. Even the additional content for Shogun 2, Rise of the Samurai and Fall of the Samurai were successfully incorporated into this mode, with the addition of mixed avatars where armies from different ends of Japan's turbulent historical period could battle against each other. On the other hand, many smaller DLCs which added new units, skills and abilities into the game, and subsequently its Avatar Conquest mode, were detrimental to its existing ecosystem and combat balance. Meaning, a line between single-player and multiplayer content additions is required if effort to properly balance new additions to the multiplayer is not put in or deemed worthy by the developers. Despite this and neglect over many years, that unique multiplayer system, which even had some options shut down by Creative Assembly themselves, is still installed by Shogun 2 fans just for the sake of experiencing one more multiplayer match with their favorite custom general and army. But where are we now? Well, after several fantasy Warhammer based Total War games and several other ones which mixed and matched history, myth and fantasy to varying degrees, Creative Assembly released a new historical Total War game based on the gameplay mechanics of the latest fantasy one, and well, player count speaks for itself. To me, this means the current path these developers and their company has been taking proved to be a dead end, and they need to retrace their steps to where things started going downhill. And that was, as many will probably agree, Rome 2. Meaning the last time Creative Assembly made a good historical Total War game was Shogun 2 and its expansion. Sure, it had its own set of issues and some design choices players didn't like, but from a technical and design perspective, I don't think many can argue that Total War games ever got better than that. Now let me introduce you, or rather reintroduce you, depending on your Total War experience, to the finer points of Avatar Conquest multiplayer mode. I, for one, as many other players, remember Shogun 2's Avatar multiplayer very fondly, and even play it from time to time, as there are still veterans who haven't let go of their customized armies. But let's take it from the beginning. After Shogun 2 was announced, a video came out from Creative Assembly detailing a totally new multiplayer game mode, the Avatar Conquest mode. It gave each player who entered the Avatar multiplayer an edit tool in which they would create their own unique looking general. Everything from the color of pants to the helmet's crest was customizable, and even more options unlocked as you progressed through the Avatar's mode immense content. Once you chose the look of your general, your avatar, you went on to customize the look of your entire army and its livery, logo basically. I went with a shade of yellow to represent gold and full black, trading them for blue and white when I reset and leveled my avatar for the second time, which was a feature later added to give veteran players a new challenge of starting over and low-level players a new pool of opponents to battle and learn from. After setting up your general and army appearance, you started the Avatar Conquest mode. This was the main mode where your avatar was a chess piece on the map of Japan, much like the map from the first and original Total War Shogun game. Here, every province held something that you needed to unlock to grow and expand your avatar and your army. You were given two chess pieces actually, one for land battles and another for naval battles. Straight away, you can join a clan, a group of players on Steam, and each clan's members fight for control over provinces by adding their victories to the clan's overall rating. The clan with the highest rating on a province wins the province, and clan tokens which have their use in upgrading units. As I mentioned, there were active leaderboards for everything from 1 vs 1 land battles to 4 vs 4 naval battles, and hundreds of thousands of players would end up writing their nicknames up there. There even was a Shogun status that a single player could achieve on the leaderboards if he was the best of all of them. I was incredibly happy to be a part of this massive player-driven multiplayer world and played it for hundreds and hundreds of battles, even starting my own YouTube channel, this very one you're watching now, just to share my battles and later my battle experience and knowledge. In Avatar Conquest, in order for a player to conquer a province, you had to move your avatar on the map to a new province and then fight a battle versus another general. By winning in that battle, be it land, siege or naval, you would conquer the province and unlock something new for your general or your army. This could be a new unit type, new avatar items or upgrades called retainers. You only needed to win once to unlock each new province and the bonus it was holding. Retainers were additional personnel that traveled with your general and gave him or your army additional stats, while some retainers reduced enemy general and army stats. You could find a cook, for example, an untrained Fugu cook, who gave enemy sword infantry -2 to melee attack, and you could bring several of these retainers to each battle, while you would unlock dozens of different ones by conquering the entire map and, for example, by collecting all pieces of an armor set. You could choose to play a land or siege with your general's chess piece moved to a new land province, or a naval battle if you were moving your ship to a new sea province. After each battle, both your general and your units would get experience points. These would level them up and you would get new skill points to spend on skill trees. There were 4 of these skill trees for generals: leadership, bow mastery, physical and melee combat. They were not exclusive, but rather supplemented each other and allowed for a wide variety of mixed or single-focused general types. My personal favorite was the leadership general with bonus melee defense. He had the ability to buff, meaning add stats to my army units mid-battle. boosting stats like melee attack, defense, morale, and reload speed for range units, while the downside was that he couldn't be sent into melee battle and had to be protected. Upon using the stop ability, he would literally sit down on a chair in the middle of the battlefield to command the army, while his bodyguards would set up a defensive square around him. As a unit gained enough experience in a single battle, you could choose to make it a veteran and even name it. This opened new unit customization options, like coloring the unit in its own special pattern and unlocking special abilities unique to that unit or unit type as you leveled it up. Each upgrade was followed up by an increase to the unit's cost, balancing out its newfound stats and abilities. This is where clan tokens came in, allowing for the most powerful skills to be upgraded or unlocked for these veteran units, which also raised the price of the unit considerably. This gave players the incentive to join in on clan conquests. There was a maximum number of veteran units one general could have in his army, and after each battle, a damaged veteran unit would need to sit out one battle before it would be replenished back to its full complement of soldiers. To keep the various skill levels of players in balance, when a new player joined the Avatar Conquest, they had a nominal ELO rating. The game would auto-match them against another player with a similar ELO rating, and depending on winning or losing the battle, each player got an increase or a decrease of his ELO rating dependent on the difference between their ratings. Winning against a higher ELO player netted you a higher boost to your own rating, and similarly, losing to a player with a lower rating lost you more ELO points. An additional safeguard for new players was that they would first play small, then medium, and only later large battles, which would help them learn to play while commanding increasingly larger armies. As they leveled up their avatar, unlocked more units and retainers, created new veteran units, they got access to larger battles which were harder. The already leveled up players with their higher level avatars would have a very costly general in small size battles, so even if a new player was matched against a seasoned player, he would have more free koku/gold to buy units because his general's unit in battle was much cheaper. There were of course many ups and downs in this multiplayer mode, because of its complexity and many elements which were outside developers' control, like cheating for example, as multiplayer connection was based on a peer-to-peer system instead of being hosted on servers. I could take an hour or two to dig up all the problems and lay them out for you, but ultimately, while the execution of some of the features of the Avatar Conquest mode were faulty, the base system and its overall idea was totally amazing and captivating. I made many friends during my time of playing this multiplayer mode and remain in touch with some even today, more than 10 years later. The feeling of companionship with my fellow clanmates, the tug and pull of clan conquest, the pure adrenaline rush of meeting an equally experienced and equipped opponent in a head-on collision of two big armies filled with skilled veteran units. It gives me goosebumps even today. Please feel free to share your own memories and experiences with us in the comments below. Now, how could the Avatar Conquest mode be implemented into new Total War games, and how could it be improved upon knowing all the shortcomings discovered when it was playable last time? The implementation would be very similar to what I have already described to you from my Shogun 2 experience. A map divided into provinces, with each one offering certain unlocks for your general or army. You would have a single avatar of a general who you can customize down to the color, shape, size and material of their shoelaces, with more customization options unlocked the more you play. Similarly, you would be able to do so with your army's look as well, meaning banner, livery and everything else that can be cosmetically changed while not in any way impacting gameplay. Individual units, and better yet, individual soldiers in those units would also have similar levels of cosmetic customization options. Additionally, I would like to see the ability to construct our very own war camp, which could be explored with a free camera view or better yet, in-engine with a third or first-person general's point of view. On top of that, a statue or monument could be the next build as you progress through the game, unlocking materials, required technology, and generating fame. The sky is the limit on such gameplay elements, to be honest. You can tell me your ideas in the comments below. As for the problem of veteran players ultimately outnumbering fresh players, I envision a system of tutors, where veteran players have an option to sign up to play practice matches against new players in the form of the opponent or the tutor. In both roles, they would be able to earn materials, tech and fame required to construct the war camp and the monument I mentioned. The tutor would have the view of the new player and his army, but not command, and would have a marker with which to draw moves he would suggest to the new player. After the battle, each player would be able to give each other a thumbs up or down, so if the new player was able to learn from the tutor and the opponent didn't corner camp, for example, the new player would give them both thumbs up, which would increase the amount of resources they would earn for their effort. It would have to be deeper than that to be fair, but you get the point. Now on to the improvements to already existing systems I have envisioned. Point 1. Multiplayer must happen on servers run by developers and paid by the publisher of the game to ensure players can't cheat using various network hacks. Since I know publishers are horrified at the idea of paying something for the player, they could finance it by selling certain customization options that cannot be unlocked in any other way. Point 2. The multiplayer PvP section of the game, which holds Avatar Conquest gameplay, must not be influenced by any patches and content updates designed for the single player part of the game, while simple skirmish can, although this isn't an ideal solution either, depriving players of a place to practice for Avatar Conquest. Point 3. Clans competing in Clan Conquest on the multiplayer map would have limited number of members, and players which don't contribute would not share in the rewards given to clans with most provinces at the end of each cycle. Point 4. Matches must have some way to end other than players destroying each other's army to prevent things like corner camping or running away with a full cavalry army. Be that a time limit, capture points, or something else, which could even show up mid-game. Point 5. Fewer abilities and more capabilities for units. Abilities that have descriptions like "Unit will become fresh again removing exhaustion" should be removed, while units' capabilities should be added, like "Unit will scavenge shields from dead enemies to put up against next missile attack." Point 6. Generals should gain skills which allow them to choose the type of battlefield they prefer to fight on, or time of day for the battle, during which they would have certain capabilities they otherwise would not, like blinding enemy units with fire at night. Point 7. Straightforward buffs to unit stats should be avoided in favor of a system where each upgrade or change to unit's weapons or armor has certain benefits and drawbacks, like heavier armor lowering units' top speed or exhausting them faster. Point 8. Once units become veterans, they could become a new, upgraded form of that unit, gaining some capability they could have used once per battle to be able to use it several times, or morph entirely into next technological and physical version of that unit. This way, the troops would basically level up along with the general. This would require changes to the province map rewards, as they couldn't offer new types of units if they are unlocked in this way. Lastly, point 9. There should be a strong incentive for those who prefer the single player campaign to join in on the multiplayer. For me, some of the most gentle ways of doing this would be to keep unit, army and general cosmetic customization locked in single player until the player has unlocked it in the multiplayer. Or that building of your own war camp and monument could also be locked out of single player unless you play some multiplayer. Meaning the more things players unlock in the Avatar Conquest multiplayer mode, the more they can personalize their next single player campaign. You can tell me some of your own ideas in the comments below. As Shogun 2's leaderboards data has shown, players do have an interest in the multiplayer aspect of Total War games, especially when that multiplayer is engaging on many levels, allows for customization, different playstyles, and even joining other players in clans to battle for supremacy over provinces. Each new Total War game gives Creative Assembly a fantastic opportunity to bring back the Avatar Conquest multiplayer mode better than ever with new twists, in a completely new setting and with fresh gameplay. This would keep players entertained for months and probably years to come, as Shogun 2 experience shows, and allow Creative Assembly to expand its fan base with a multiplayer strategy game experience which is totally unique in all of gaming.